Alright, so hello YouTube, I am playing Minecraft Hardcore, which means I have one life, no respawns, and every decision actually matters, which feels like a good time to talk about the Peloponnesian War, because that is basically what happens when multiple people have one shot at power and keep making worse and worse decisions. So this war is between Athens and Sparta, and if you had to simplify them, Athens is naval power, trade, democracy, philosophy, kind of like culture and influence, and Sparta is land of power, military, discipline, and basically built for war. So they're already very different, and this is all starting after the Persian Wars, where the Greek city-states had actually worked together, which is rare, but once that threat is gone, things immediately start falling apart. Athens forms something which is called the Delian League, which is supposed to be a defensive alliance, like, hey, let's all protect each other just in case. But then Athens starts collecting money from everyone and controlling the alliance, and suddenly it's not really an alliance anymore, it's more like an empire, and Athens is thriving like economically, culturally, politically, they're at their peak and they know it. And meanwhile, Sparta is watching all of this happen and getting increasingly uncomfortable because they lead their own alliance, the Peloponnesian League. They don't want Athens becoming too powerful, so now there's this tension building, and it's not just one moment, like it's a bunch of smaller conflicts. Arguments, alliance shifting, power moves until eventually it reaches a breaking point, and in 431 BC, war starts. So phase 1 is often called the Archidamian War, named after the Spartan king, and both sides go in with completely different strategies. Athens, led by Pericles, has a plan. They are like, we are not fighting Sparta directly, we're going to stay inside our city walls, use our navy control trade, and just outlast them, which honestly is smart because Sparta's strength is land battles, so avoiding that makes sense. Sparta, meanwhile, invades the Athenian territory, every year burning crops, destroying land, trying to force Athens to come out and fight. So you have the situation where Sparta can't break into the city and Athens won't leave it. And for a while, it's just this ongoing stalemate. But then, something completely out of their control happens. A plague hits Athens and it spreads quickly because everyone is packed inside the walls. There's not great sanitation and it kills a huge portion of the population, like a devastating amount, including Pericles. And that's a turning point because now Athens loses both people and strong leadership at the same time. And instead of stabilizing, things start getting more chaotic. Leadership becomes less consistent, decisions become less strategic, and Athens starts taking bigger risks, which leads to one of the most famous mistakes in the entire war, the Sicilian expedition. So Athens decides to send a massive fleet to Sicily to attack Syracuse, and this is where you kind of have to pause, because it's far away, it's expensive, and it's not directly necessary, but they go anyway, and the scale of this is huge. Ships, soldiers, resources, it's a major commitment, and it goes horribly. Like complete disaster, the fleet gets trapped and destroyed, soldiers are killed or captured, and it's not just a loss, it's like losing everything you've invested in, and after this, Athens is significantly weakened. This is when the balance of power really starts to shift because Sparta begins to adapt. They build up their navy, which was not originally their strength, and they get help from Persia, which is ironic considering earlier conflicts. So now, Athens is losing its main advantage at sea, which was the main thing keeping them competitive, and at the same time, their allies start revolting because they don't want to be controlled anymore. So Athens is losing power externally and stability internally, and by the final phase of the war, they're struggling so much. Resources are low, morale is low, and Sparta is gaining control. Eventually, in 404 BC, Athens surrenders and Sparta wins, but not in a way that really benefits anyone long-term, because the war lasted nearly 30 years. It exhausted all of Greece economically, militarily, socially, so even though Sparta wins, the entire region is weakened, which makes it easier for future powers like Macedon to rise and take control. So in the end, all of this is destruction kind of just sets the stage for someone else to take over, and most of what we know about this war comes from Thucydides, who was actually an Athenian general and historian. And what's interesting about him is that he writes about the war in a really analytical way. He focuses on human behavior, fear, power, decision-making, and one of his main arguments is that the war was basically inevitable because of the rise of Athens and the fear that created in Sparta. And that fear leads to tension, and that tension leads to conflict, which is something you see over and over again in history. And even within the war, you see how decisions are made, sometimes rational, sometimes emotional, sometimes bad, just like the Sicilian expedition, which is often used as an example of overconfidence and poor judgment, and it shows how even powerful states can make decisions that completely undermine them. And honestly, this whole war feels like hardcore Minecraft making the connection yet again. Like both sides start with plans, strategies, confidence, and then unexpected things happen, like the plague or bad decisions like Sicily, and suddenly it's not about winning anymore, it's about surviving. And Athens especially goes from being its absolute peak to completely defeated, not because of one single moment, but because of a series of choices and circumstances that slowly build up. And that's kind of what makes it interesting, because it's not just a war story, it's a study of how power works, how fear works, and how people respond under pressure, and how even strong systems can fall apart over time. So yeah, the Peloponnesian War is basically a really long example of what happens when power, fear, ambition, and bad decisions all collide, and how sometimes, even if you win, you still lose. Thanks for tuning in. This has been episode 4 of Minecraft Hardcore Mode. Peace and blessings, and I'll see you next time.